Hello again. Oh, excuse me. It's Ian, and it's the Sunday, the 29th of March at the moment. I'm sitting down in the meeting room where this week we've had several meetings about the coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, as I'm seeing it called more in scientific reports. It's down on the. It's very hot today again, but it hasn't been hot all week. In fact, during the middle of the week, when was it? 2 or 3 days ago, we had 2 days when it absolutely bucketed down with rain, and we had thunder, we had lightning, and we had crashing rain lashing down. The first time it was overnight. And then the next days it was during 2 days. So fairly unusual at this time of the year, but it's one of those things. You can still get rain at this time in Bhopal, in Madhya Pradesh. And before that, earlier in the week, both Dr. Ram and myself, we both had a brief spell with colds. I sent out for a load of vitamin C, which I took, and disappeared within 24 hours, more or less. Rams went on for a couple of days, but definitely a cold before you even start asking questions. Absolutely, definitely. You can see what I'm like now. Absolutely perfect. So, what's been happening in the clinic? This week, it's been getting on with the effects of this corona. And there have been some changes. Through the week, we've slowly been cutting down on what has been doing. We're still open and going to stay open, still seeing patients. And some of the patients, of course, need a lot of care. We've got a very high-risk cohort of patients. Some 60% of the patients here have got respiratory problems. Remember, it was a gas explosion in 1984, and everybody who survived it will have breathed in that gas, whether they're now in their 60s or older, or whether they are just in their late 30s or early 40s. So they've all got potentially at risk, but 60% have already got symptomatic problems with respiratory and breathing difficulties. There's another 50% with heart conditions as well, so there's clearly an overlap, some people with 2 or more conditions. And this, of course, is the group of people that is highest at risk. I was looking at some figures about Italy, came out of Italy just this week, and almost 50% of the deaths in Italy were where there are 3 or more coexisting illnesses. So that is where most of this virus is attacking people in a serious way, those with existing conditions, long-term chronic conditions. And here we are absolutely right to have a big hit on that score. So far we haven't heard that there's very much corona in India. Last time I checked, there were only 1,000 cases registered. That could be just that we're very bad at registering that sort of thing in India, which is true. And in Bhopal, there's been 1 or 2 apparently, but we don't really know. And so we've been cutting down. There's no Panchakarma, which is the Ayurvedic body therapy that was going on. There's no yoga. And of course, I stopped my treatments just over a week ago anyway, a week and a half ago now. So I've been mostly staying in my room out of the way, although I have, of course, offered my services whenever they're needed. The waiting room is out the front. We've got a big area where motorbikes park, people come in, the forecourt, that's the word I was looking for, and that has been now changed into a waiting area. Seats are put out there. Fortunately, the weather, apart from those 2 days when it tipped down with rain, the weather is good here. It's warm and dry. So an outside waiting area is not really a problem. And the nurses and other people, the registration people, are the busiest people because they're organising the patients coming in so that we only get 1 or 2 patients in at a time. The doctors are working in the way that they normally do, so they are seeing patients, but there's no more queuing inside the clinic. The registration will see them, will know they're here, will collect the books, and then they will assign them to the doctor of their choice and call them when they're ready. So that's the way it's working at the moment, and it seems to be very effective. It does mean, though, that the clinic has an eerie quietness about it now, whereas on a normal day the corridor is thronging with people. It's built around, some of you will have seen on previous videos, that the clinic itself is built on 3 and a bit sides of a quadrangle. And where I'm sitting is on one side of that quadrangle. So the people usually queue and wait in the open areas. It's open facing into that quadrangle. So that's where the people sit. I'm looking at it now. Obviously, you can't see it because it's behind the camera. I will turn the camera around in a moment and show you when we finish this conversation. So it's eerily quiet, and I come out and I chat with Satchu, who's in here every day, making sure everything is going okay. And the pharmacists are here giving out the remedies and the drugs. The other thing that's happening is that Chingari, which of course is also probably closed by now because it's the children. I'm not quite sure what they're doing there, but they've lent us 2 of their vans. They have vans, minivans, which go out and travel around the areas for the children, collecting the children who've got no transport or no way of getting into the clinic. They've lent us 2 of their vans, and the health workers are now using those. They usually go out on their own motorbikes. They're now using those because they're also carrying with them the drugs and remedies for the patients. So we're actually delivering the medications to our patients now instead of expecting them to come in all the time. So that, again, is another way we can keep the flow of people into the clinic down a little bit and yet still service them. They're also, the health workers, doing education about this coronavirus and what people should do, how they should look after themselves. Because you may remember that a lot of the people in those areas, the poor areas, the semi-slum areas, are illiterate. So they're not going to know what is going on. Some of them will have radios, some of them will have TVs and batteries to use those. But in the main, the way information gets to people is not very efficient in these poorer areas of India. So that's another problem. But we are managing to service as many of our patients as possible and carrying on from day to day, making decisions as we go. The situation in India is a little clearer than it was last week. I wasn't quite sure whether I was going to get back to the UK or not. I'm not at the moment. The Prime Minister and the government had closed down all public transport, and on Tuesday they closed down also the domestic airports. Before that they had announced that they were closing the airports to incoming traffic. They weren't allowing any people in from the international airports, but hadn't announced anything about going out this time last week. Well, now they have. All flights in and out are now stopped. So I can't get to the airport. my flight was from Delhi, and I can't. If I could get, there wouldn't be a flight going anyway. My travel agent has contacted me a couple of times. First of all, I registered with Virgin Atlantic, which is the airline I came in to let them know that I was here and waiting to hear what they were doing. And after they'd cancelled the flight that I was due to go back to the UK on, which was 31st, in a couple of days' time. Then I learnt that the Foreign and Commonwealth Office was looking to make some flights, some repatriation flights for all the people that are over here from the UK to get us all back home. That required another registration process, fairly simple, via their website. So I'm now registered with the FCO that I'm here, so they know I'm here, they got my passport number, they know I was scheduled to go out on Wednesday and that I want to go back sometime. So I think for me, I shall either be high up the list because of my age, I'm over 70, or I should be low on the list because I'm a single person and male. I'm not sure which of those it is. So all I've got to do now is just wait. I can't do anything. I can't travel anywhere. I can go down to the little shop about 50 metres down the road and get some more milk, which I did on Saturday, but I can't go any further. And most people are sticking to their homes around here. I do hear some people in the streets. There is a curfew from, I think, a total curfew, I think, from about 9 o'clock at night until 7 in the morning. But people do still wander around, and I hear police sirens and other things going around. So it's a bit chaotic. But generally speaking, most people are confined to their homes like I believe they are in the UK. So that's the situation here. So far as I'm concerned, I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen, and I shall get back when I get back. I'm still talking with lots of friends via Zoom and via Skype, so life is going on as per relatively normal. So I should just slowly turn this camera around and show you what I was talking about earlier, where I am in this meeting room. It's an open meeting room. As I go slowly, because the light's changing, so it's going to take a little while for the camera to refocus. You can see, I'm sure there, yes, that's coming clearer now, I think, isn't it? You can see the solar panels, which work on one of our systems. We've got two systems of electricity here, and the solar panels are there and form a backup. You can see, I think, the children's play area. And then as I go further and further round, and that there is the end of the Panchakarma room. That's the male one that we're looking at there. And you can see there, let's put me back on here again. Ooh. There we go. So there you are. This is here is the walkway round the courtyard. To the left there is the yoga room, also abandoned. And just as I've not given you a walk around here yet, so we'll just very quickly walk around. So this is where we go past the Panchakarma rooms on my right here. So this, you see, is the open, shaded area. Very good in the summer. And that's the room where I'm working, the famous room 15, as you can see from the number there, with the nurses. That's the home of the health workers. And you see, on this side, it's completely open to the garden. So it's actually quite a pleasant area. And the doctor's rooms are here. I'm about to walk past them now. On my right, the Ayurveda. The gynecological unit. which is through that door there. You might hear the sound of the sorry about that, the Sunday security guard talking, and we've got the other two doctors on the right here, and on the left is the pathology lab. So all that is very quiet, and straight in front there, that door there is the pharmacy, where they give out all the medicines and so on. So, and this is the normal foyer here. So, and there's, like so many people, our security chum sitting there is on his phone again with his mask. And this is where we put our waiting room now, is out here. So you can see it's a big area, and ideal, but you can see how close we are to the buildings. So with that, I shall say a goodbye for now from Bhopal on this Sunday, and maybe I'll have some more news for you next week. Bye for now.